Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to read Charlie Anderson. A few days ago, we read Charlie Anderson. In this story, if you remember, two sisters have a problem. Can anyone remember what the problem is? That's right. They found out that their cat actually lives in two homes. How do the sisters solve the problem? That's right. They decide to share Charlie Anderson. Charlie Anderson. It was written by Barbara Abercrombie and illustrated by Mark Graham. One cold night, a cat walked out of the woods, up the steps, across the deck, and into the house where Sarah and Elizabeth lived. He curled up next to their fireplace to get warm. He watched the 6 o'clock news. He tasted their dinner, and he tried out their beds. He decided to stay, and the girls named him Charlie. Every morning, Charlie disappeared into the woods again. At night, when he came home, Elizabeth brushed him clean, fed him dinner, and made a space for him at the foot of her bed. He liked Elizabeth's bed the best. Sometimes she would wake up in the middle of the night and hear him purring in the dark. Do you remember what that sounds like when a cat purrs? Can you make that sound? That's right. It sounds like this. Do you remember why cats purr? What are they feeling when they purr? That's right, they're happy. That means they're happy. Sarah called him baby, and she dressed him up in doll clothes. Do you remember how the cat was feeling? Let's look at his face. What do you think? Do you think he likes being dressed up in doll clothes? I think he doesn't like it. He looks a little angry. When it snowed, Elizabeth and Sarah's mother heated Charlie's milk before he left for the woods. He grew fatter and fatter, and every day he purred louder and louder. On the weekends, the girls stayed with their father and the stepmother in the city. Do you remember what they wanted to do? What did Elizabeth and Sarah want to do? If you need help remembering, let's take a look. It looks like this is their suitcase. Who was in their suitcase? Charlie. They wanted to bring Charlie with them, but their mother said he'd miss the woods because Charlie's a country cat. Do you remember what happened on that stormy night? What's happening in this picture? That's right, on that stormy night, Charlie didn't come home. Elizabeth and Sarah stayed out on the deck and called his name. Can you call his name? Oh, but no Charlie. Where was he? Why wouldn't he come out of the woods? Was he all right? What happens next, boys and girls? That's right. They go out and they look for Charlie. All night long, Elizabeth listened to the rain and beating on the roof and the wind rattling the windows. And she asks questions because she was worried. What does worried mean? Was he cold? Was he hurt? Where was Charlie? So in the morning, Elizabeth and Sarah looked for him. They asked the lady down the road if she had seen their cat. Do you remember what she said? Did she see Charlie? No. Do you remember what she wanted to give the girls to help them feel better? That's right, her chocolate chip cookies, but the girls were too worried. Boys and girls, do you remember where they went next? Let's take a look at the picture. Do you remember what house this is? That's right. They went to the new house on the other side of the woods and they said, "Have you seen our cat? His name is Charlie. He's very fat and has gray striped fur." And do you remember what they say to Elizabeth and Sarah? What do the people in the new house on the other side of the woods say to Elizabeth and Sarah? Remember, they said, "We do have a cat, gray with striped fur. But his name is not Charlie Anderson. It's Anderson. He's asleep upstairs on our bed." And then they heard a meow, and down the stairs came a very fat cat with gray striped fur. And the girls yelled, "Charlie!" "No, that's Anderson," said the woman. "We've had him for 7 years. Right, Anderson?" Do you remember what the cat did next? That's right. He looked up at her and he began to purr. Can you help me make the noise? Great job. Do you remember what it means when a cat purrs? That's right. Means they're happy. "But it's Charlie," Sarah said. He looked at her and he purred louder. "Is he ever here at night?" Elizabeth asked. "Anderson is a hunter," said the man. "He prowls the woods at night." "But Charlie sleeps in my bed at night," Elizabeth said, "and then he leaves for the woods after breakfast." "Anderson comes home at breakfast time," said the woman, "and he leaves right after dinner." And they all looked at the cat. He sat at their feet, very happy and very fat. And they call him Charlie Anderson now. Why are they calling him Charlie Anderson? What did they decide to do? Yes, they decided to share the cat. Sometimes in bed at night, Elizabeth asks him, "Who do you love best, Charlie Anderson?" And she can hear him purring in the dark. And just like Elizabeth and Sarah, Charlie has 2 houses, 2 beds, and 2 families who love him. He is a lucky cat. Why do you think Charlie Anderson's owners decided to share him? Do you think it's because he was purring so loud when he saw Elizabeth and Sarah that they knew he was happy? What do you think? How will the girls feel when Charlie is gone, now that they know where he is? Do you think they'll worry knowing that he's safe with the other family? I wonder what Charlie used to do at night before he met Sarah and Elizabeth. Where do you think he slept? Boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this 3rd reading of Charlie Anderson. Thanks for listening.